Shalawama, Shalawama. I am Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Welcome to the show. This is a really, really good show. I'm excited about this show. Uh, this is wow. We're already on the 20th video. This is the 20th Astrotheology video, y'all. This is a really good topic. I'm really happy about doing this topic right now, and I can't wait to get started. I have to give someone uh, a minute to get in, so y'all give me 1 second. Let me see what's going on with our guest. Give me 1 second, please. All right, y'all. Let me pull up our PDF. So I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. We are going to do like we always have done. We're going to read, explain, and then discuss the book titled The Devil's Pulpit. All right. So I hope that you will learn. This is a powerful, powerful book. Whether you agree with the author's assertions or not, it's still a very powerful book and is very, very good because it causes us to think, right? So we think, and in thinking, of course, that's good for your brain, right? When you're thinking, you may read his information and it may give you stronger resolve to continue what you're doing, right? Or it might give you information and you might say, well, I want to make some decisions, change what I've been doing. That's up to you, okay? So let's give it a minute for Linda to come in, and then we're going to get started. Okay, so we completed part 2. So some people may be spooked out about the title, and I say this every video, but this book is called The Devil's Pulpit because, well, the book is based upon a series of lectures that were given in the early 1800s, and they were compiled into a book. In other words, the sermons were compiled into a book in 1857. All right. But what happened was that this author, his name is Reverend Robert Taylor, he started to tell Masonic secrets, secret society secrets. Okay. They had him arrested, put in jail. Okay. He got out. But in the end, they labeled him, this is the Dark Priesthood. They labeled him as a devil, right? They labeled him as a devil, hoping that the people would not listen to him. Okay, so he took the word, right? He took that word devil, which they intended to destroy him with, and he took it and titled the book "The Devil's Pulpit" to mock the secret society members who did him all that damage. And he did a really good job with doing that. Okay. So anyway, that's where we're at, y'all. That's why the book is called The Devil's Pulpit. This book deals with philology, early church father writings, of course, linguistics, right? Of course, linguistics. And there's no doctrine in here. That's the beautiful thing about it. There's no doctrine in here. He's basing everything he says based on the movement of the planets, All right, that would be the study of astronomy back there. Back in those days, astronomy was astrology, not horoscope. Okay, not the horoscope, but just the movement of the planets. And then he's looking at the etymological meaning of the Greek words, and then looking also at how they were translated to see if they were translated well or not. So give me a second. Let me see if Linda is here. Yes, she is.
Sure.
All right, Shalom, Linda. We're live. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Shalom.
Okay, Shalom. Can you give me 1 second, please?
Sure.
All right. You can talk to the people if you want.
Shalom, everyone. Sorry, I came in a little bit late.
All right, Linda, are you ready to go? You ready to make it do what it do? Unmute your microphone. If you're muted, I can't hear you. All right.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to get to the right screen. Okay.
All right, you good?
Yes, I am.
All right, so let's go ahead. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see it. It's not okay. Yeah, I can see it. Just have to blow it up.
Okay. Do you want to begin the reading? Let me introduce the title. All right, so, oops, I'm on the wrong page. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me get to the right page. I enjoyed this when I read it. So let's get into it. So again, this is The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. It was published in 1857. All right. So this is the chapter titled The Temple. Okay. And this is coming from Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 4, which reads, the temple of the capital L-O-R-D, the temple of the capital L-O-R-D, the temple of the capital L-O-R-D are these, end quote. And this is a phenomenal chapter for me. For me, it was phenomenal. You ready to get started? Do you want to do the reading or do you want me to?
Yeah, I can get yeah, I can start the reading.
Okay, is the live stream okay? Are we good with the live stream?
Yes. Yeah, I was actually trying to get that set up too on my phone so I could see it. And yes, we're definitely streaming live. Okay.
Is the sound? Can you hear the sound? All right.
Let me
Okay,
say
good.
something.
Yeah, I hear it. I hear it now.
Okay.
So we're good. All right.
Let's see, where are we here? Okay. The temple in Hebrew is Yekel. In Greek, oh, so my screen is a little blurry, so some words I can't make out.
Okay. Just say Greek word.
Okay, Greek word. Okay. In Latin, temple, palm. In English, temple. The Greek word, this Greek word is radical, but connate with this Greek word to inhabit or dwell in. The basis of one of the, it's like it goes blurry and then clear. It keeps going back and forth on me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it might be my screen.
Okay. If you want me to read, just let me know. I'll read it. It's up to
Yes.
you.
Can you read it until I figure out what's going on with my tablet? Because normally I see this clear.
Okay. I don't know, what's happening when I was on. Well, I'll tell you about it later. All right. So anyway, so I'll do the reading. The temple in Hebrew is Yakel. In Greek, we see this Greek word. I don't speak Greek, so I don't know how to pronounce it. In Latin, templum. In English, temple. All right. So here's our linguistics, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Greek word shown here is radical, but connate with this other Greek word, to inhibit, which means to inhibit or dwell in. All right, to inhibit or dwell in. The basis of one of the epithets of Jupiter. I'm sorry, not inhibit, to inhabit or dwell in. All right, inhabit or dwell in. The basis of one of the epithets of Jupiter. And we see the Greek verse right here. And then
Mm-hmm.
it says, that is, or to clarify, O Jew, most glorious, most great, compelling the clouds, dwelling in ether, end quote. The addict form of which is, and we see a Greek word with the Greek letter. I wish I could read Greek right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes from this Greek word here, which means glomero, acervo, cumulo, thus clearly signifying a group, a collection, a constellation.
Mm.
Mhm. Agreeably to that definition of the apostle to the Ephesians chapter 2, I guess that's verse 1, quote,
Mm-hmm.
a holy temple, a habitation of capital God through the Spirit. So now there, in my opinion, he is equating this holy temple with a constellation, right? So
Okay.
dwell in a temple, dwell in a constellation. In other words, the stars that form the constellation. That's the
Mm-hmm.
way I'm understanding it. What about you?
Yes, I see it that way as well.
Okay. In the description of the New Jerusalem, Revelations 21, verse 22,
Mm-hmm.
we have this solution of the matter. And I saw, this is a quote, and I saw no temple therein, for the Lord, capital God Almighty, and the Lamb. So let me, I need to change the page. Give me 1 second. And the Lamb are temple of it. All right, so let me read that again from, just to clarify that. It says here, give me 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
It says, quote, this is the scripture, Revelation 21, Revelation 21, verse 22. We have this solution for the matter, quote, and I saw no temple herein, for capital Lord, capital God Almighty, and the Lamb are the temple of it. All right. And it continues, as in that 3 times repeated saying of the Jews, rebuked by their prophet Jeremiah, quote, the temple of the capital Lord, that's 1. The temple of the capital Lord, that's 2. The temple of the capital Lord, that's 3 times, y'all, are these. That's quoting from Jeremiah chapter 7, verse 4. His
Mm-hmm.
argument being that it was not sufficient nor rationally consistent of them to know which were the stars that constituted the temple of the capital Lord, unless at the time of the sun's entering into that constellation, which is the temple of the capital Lord. In other words, if I understand him right, whichever constellation the sun enters into, that temple or that constellation that has the sun in it is the temple of the capital Lord, right? In other words, the sun is the capital Lord
Mm-hmm.
and the temple is the constellation. That's how I see it. All right. So
Okay.
okay.
And the
His
fact that
argument,
it mentioned it 3 times would then signify which constellation or which point in the constellation is entering into.
yes, I
Okay.
think, yeah. Okay, his argument being that it was not sufficient nor rationally consistent of them to know which were the stars that constituted the temple of the capital LORD, unless at the time of the sun's entering into that constellation, which is the temple of the capital LORD, in which he gives an equal length of days and nights to all the earth. They should thoroughly execute judgment between a man and his neighbor in imitation of the physical equity of the sun at that season. So you know what he's talking about? He's talking about the equinoxes. So the vernal equinox and the fall equinox. So that's the spring, right?
Mm-hmm.
The day is 12 hours, nighttime is 12 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Autumn equinox equal, right? Same. Day 12 hours, night 12 hours. So that's the temple. I think these are the temples that he's talking about.
Okay.
The constellations that are at the horizon, right? The celestial equator
Mm-hmm.
during the vernal and autumn equinoxes. That's how I'm understanding it. But let's continue to read, make sure we're right. But this is what I find very interesting, Linda.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about judgment.
Ah.
Yeah, check this out. He says here, in which he gives an equal length of days and nights to all the earth. They should thoroughly execute judgment between man and his neighbor in imitation. See, in imitation of the physical quality of the sun at that season. In other words, the sun is giving equal hours of day and night at the equinoxes. So
Oh.
the concept of executing judgment between man and his neighbor, right? In other
Mm-hmm.
words, the scales are balanced. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Libra.
We'll see, but I think the concept of judgment,
Mm-hmm.
right? Equal another. Well, let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
Hence, the sun, sun, upon entering that constellation in which he is so just and equal in the distribution of an equal length of night and day to
Mm-hmm.
all the inhabitants of the earth, and distinguished from the sun, that's sun, as
Mm-hmm.
considered at any other season of the year, by the epithet so peculiarly appropriated to him at that season. Quote,
Mm-hmm.
the sun, sun, of righteousness. There we go. Equal number of hours of daylight, equal justice for all. Every man, you follow me?
Yes, I do.
Right.
I'm
But
I'm
you
just
know,
having a hard time reading it because I kid you not, it goes from blurry to clear, blurry to clear.
yeah, I don't know why it's doing that. I really,
Mm-hmm.
really don't know why it's doing that. But I don't know. I mean, the connection is good here, but I don't know. But let's continue.
Mm-hmm. The Son of Righteousness.
Okay, yeah. So the Son of Righteousness, that's the sun of
Mm-hmm.
righteousness, or or as this great astronomical priest Jeremiah most sublimely allegorizes the equinoctial sun.
Mm.
All right, so here we go. This is his name, whereby he shall be called the capital LORD, our righteousness. So he's saying, the author is saying that Jeremiah is speaking metaphorically or allegorically when he says the capital LORD, our righteousness. He's talking about the sun at the equinox.
Okay.
That's what he's saying. It continues. Our English word capital Lord, compounded of the Phoenician. You see that Allah right there? And it looks like Awara. That's modern Hebrew, but okay.
Yeah.
That is the sun. Can you see it?
It's going. I'm telling you, it's crazy. It's blurry now. I'm waiting for it to clear up so I can see it.
Oh, okay.
A compound of the Phoenician, and then there's this little. Okay, I see it now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Okay.
saying compound. So here we're dealing with linguistics again. So this word capital Lord is a compounded word from the Phoenician word here, right? We see these two words. That is the sun, sun, the light, originally signifying the sun. The whole year being reckoned to begin, as then it was, from the point of the vernal equinox. In other words, the year began in March at that time, not January.
Okay. All right.
The spring quarter, in the month of March, we find the names of the last 4 months of the year, still retaining in our language evidence of their origination in an era of time when the month of March was considered the first.
Wow.
As they are compounded of the Roman names. So these months are compounded or compounds of the Roman names of the numbers. So they're compounded of the Roman names of the numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. And of the most ancient name of the great Phoenician capital G-O-D, Beerith, which more literally signifies a covenant. That is a group or constellation. All right. So here he's saying that this covenant is a constellation, right? A group or constellation. And its full utterance as Baal, Berith, the capital Lord of the covenant, was the name of the sun, S-U-N.
Wow. Look at that connection right there. Wow.
Yeah. And that's coming from linguistics. As considered respectively in those covenants or constellations. And here are the words, Septem, and then we see the suffix ber. Octo, we see the suffix ber, the deity. Berit, Baal Berit. These are compounded words. Novem, hyphen ber, and Decem, hyphen ber. That is the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th capital G-O-D, whose name is Berith. B-E-R-I-T-H is how you spell it. Or capital G-O-D in his 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th celestial mansions. So the sun, again, inside of each of those constellations, right, during those months.
Wow.
Etymology is powerful stuff.
Yes, it is. Wow. So wait a minute. So am I to understand that the name of these months is a deity name?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, goodness. Here we go.
And it's the bird. So now scholars in the audience, remember, these speeches were given in the early 18th.
Wow. Dr. Yasapa, if you're talking, we just lost you. I don't know if you could hear me. Yeah, we still can't hear you. Oh, calling me now. Hold on one second. Yes, hello?
Yeah, my computer shut down. I'm rebooting it. This is crazy.
All right, guys, give us a minute. We're just going through a little rebooting process. Wow. This is getting good.
Shut down.
Okay.
Yeah. So you got me on speakerphone, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, excellent. So while my laptop is rebooting, I'll continue reading.
Okay. But at this point, though, I guess they're just going to be listening to you because we don't have a visual of it anymore.
Oh, there's no visual.
No.
Oh, wow. Okay, so yeah, well, we have to wait. But I think this is profound.
It is.
Most people are thinking September. I've never seen this presented the way the author is presenting it. I've never heard of Baal Berith before.
Wow.
You know, Baal Berith. So the Baali deities are, if I remember correctly, there were Baals in different cities. Right? So this is Berith, and that's suffix. So thank goodness for etymology, scholars in the audience. You see, etymology helped us to understand or to see that this deity is in these months. And now we can make the connection back to the constellations. Etymology is powerful.
Yes, it is. I'm still reeling off of this. I had no idea. So Berith is a name I've never heard of as well.
Yeah. So I guess they continually made it disappear.
Maybe when you come back on, we can do a quick little search on it, perhaps.
Oh yeah, definitely. Let me take a look here. Yeah, so this 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th celestial mansions, right? And their names, the Roman name. I mean, this is profound.
Wow.
This is profound. Especially, you know, what really got my attention too is this Lord of Righteousness. You know, it just, for me, it makes so much sense. Because even in the justice system with the ancient Egyptians, they had these balanced scales, right?
Yes.
Representing justice, like you said. And then with the U.S., they have these unbalanced scales.
They do.
Right? So they're telling you, you ain't getting no justice, right?
So there's a celestial connection to this as well, because when I brought up the zodiac Libra, the Libra, I think, is the one that's it could be, I think it's Libra represented by the scales.
Yeah, that's the one represented by the scales, October.
Wow.
That's October. So these are the Templars, according to the author. So, but remember, scholars in the audience, everybody use their own analytical mind, make their own decision, and approach this from a science point of view, not a religious doctrine point of view. And just evaluate, analyze the author's viewpoints and make a decision if they're reasonable and if you accept them or reject them, so that you'll have a basis for the things that you believe and how you live in your life right now, right? Because a really, really important thing is Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 3, where the Most High says, don't bring another power before his face, right? So we deserve to do this type of analysis so that we can make sure that, let's say the Christ figure, for example, or whatever power you're recognizing, we can make sure that we're not violating the first commandment, which is don't bring another power before my face. You have anything you want to say, Lynn?
No, I'm in agreement with you. Absolutely. You know, that is the commandment that, you know, should we come against that, you know, there's serious consequences to that. I'm still processing the September at the end. Wow. I need to see that again. I need to take a look at that again. Wow. I'm taken aback by that. I was not expecting that.
Yeah. And I'm still, I like this Lord of Righteousness thing about the equinoxes with the equal 12 hours, you know, because that brings me to mind the Egyptian scales. They're even.
Yes. And then also when we think 12 hours, you're right. It was 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yes. Sorry. It was 12 hours.
Can you repeat it? We lost. Yeah, we lost the connection. What was it?
I'm sorry. I was thinking also the 12 hours of daylight and night instead of the 24-hour format that they have us on. So two things stand out for me. The time format that we're using now versus what was used then, which is the 12-hour format. And then also the first month of the year was actually March, not January.
Right. Yeah. In honor of that equinox, that 12 hours, night and day. So that meant that was a powerful influence on the way they perceive the world and how they live their lives, right?
Okay.
Yeah, it had to. That's why they started the year off there. And it makes sense too, doesn't it? Because you start the year off when things are growing, springtime, instead of starting the year off January 1st when it's freezing cold, right?
Yes, that makes sense.
Things are hibernating or dead, right? Why start the year there? You know, but you know, my computer is still not booted up.
Oh wow! Wow? Did it completely crash?
It's just completely shut. It's not booted up.
Is it? Do you have the? Is it charging or?
Yes, plugged in the wall.
Oh my gosh!
It's not. I don't know.
They're trying to stop this information from coming through. That's what that is. Who knows? You know.
Yeah. I think the etymology that the author is going through is such a shame. It's such a shame that that's not what's being done in these places where our people are going to learn. You know what I mean? They're getting doctrine.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you.
They're getting these precepts and memorizing scriptures, but they don't know anything about the etymology, and they're not taught etymology. So they're trapped in this connotative linguistics and forced to believe what their teacher, pastor, moray, general, captain, whatever, is telling them. They're forced to be in belief. Whereas when you are working at the level of science, etymology, it tells a completely different story, right? And people can accept this or reject this, but either way, they're going to do it based upon the science of etymology and information and science, rather than just trust and believe like a child. You know, the child has to trust and believe because he's totally dependent, helpless. But the adult is not totally dependent and not helpless. You see what I mean?
That's true.
Yeah. So I don't know.
The adults have the ability to reason, to think critically.
All right. Here we go. Let me see. Can you keep the discussion going, Linda, while I try to get?
Okay. Is it still? It's okay. Did it turn on now or?
Yeah, I was able to enter my password.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, but this is, it's a very, very interesting. Wow. Very interesting. Through this series alone, you've touched on so much information, a wealth of information, honestly, for all of us to process pretty much, and to think critically and, be able to come to our own conclusion. You said something key. We're not going on blind belief.
Critical thinking for yourself.
Right.
Critical thinking for yourself.
That's right.
And so we're going to let this author continue to make his point. So far, I've only found a couple of things that I was able to say, well, wasn't accurate. Maybe only two so far. You know, maybe only two. And you know what I like about this book too, Linda? He's not making his case. Oh, what is this? This says, let's finish setting up your device. What?
Going.
Man, oh no. Let me see. I'm going to type remind me in 3 days. Can you believe that?
Oh, maybe, okay. Maybe there was an update or something going on with it. Maybe it needs to be
usually
updated.
they give you a message, like a window, and they give you, like, I have it set so I can, it gives me a notification, and I can say yes or no. But it didn't do that.
It didn't do that this time.
Yeah, this is interesting. The temple of the Lord is the sun in the constellation of the equinoxes. Wow. Yeah.
I'd love to see a visual of this one there. You know.
I couldn't find it.
No.
I searched and I couldn't find it.
It's probably in some secret book somewhere.
Yeah, I'm trying to find old books, but it seems like they've done a real good job of making this information not available.
Wow.
Because I spent hours searching and haven't been able to find anything. You know. So let me see. I'm almost. Let me see if I can get online now. I don't know if everything is booted up.
Oh, okay. If you're still connected to this.
Yeah, you know how it's still not, but then you try to go online, it just makes it take longer. So that's where I'm at right now. I just clicked on my browser. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh man. So, Linda, what do you think are the how might knowing this information benefit people in their everyday life? In your opinion?
Well, I mean, let's start off with the hardcore New Testament Christians. You know, this type of information will make you think. You know, it'll make you go back and ask your pastor some questions and probably get kicked out. I'm just saying. So, you know, if you're ready to get kicked out, go on right ahead, challenge them. But then that should tell you something. You know what I mean? That means you're onto something. You're starting to think for yourself.
Yeah. They used to do that in the religion I was in. They would accuse you of something, you know, and kick you out. And then the people who are in the congregation, they're not allowed to talk to you. So nobody would know what really happened.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, and the people, even if they didn't know, they're gonna believe the people who are in charge, right? Yeah, total brainwash. They have a real. I was in that for a long time. They have a real racket because they can do all kind of wrong things. You know, put out a doctrine that's clearly false. I mean, you can look like at their old books, and you can see how they've been false prophets. But the members are so brainwashed that they will ignore it. That they'll believe any excuse. But that's Christianity, right? Like the guy said, they make you into a fool.
Yep.
They make you into a fool and a coward. Oh no. So
it's funny because I spoke with a friend of mine who was a pastor, and you know they've been trying to invite me to Bible study for a long time. So I said, you know, I'm a Bible scholar, and they're like, a Bible scholar, like, you know, they give you that look, you know. So I said to them, okay, listen, let me put it this way. If y'all are not breaking out the concordance and breaking down words and looking at etymology so we could figure out what's really in the book, don't invite me. So you can imagine the response I got.
Yeah. Wait. Okay, I think I'm back.
You're back. Oh yeah, I hear some feedback. Okay. Wait, you're not. Okay.
My mic is not.
Okay. There's some feedback, but I think it's on your end. Okay. All right, guys. Dr. Yasapa should be coming in shortly. Oh. Okay, the live. Okay, we're still live. Uh, All right, guys. Okay, bear with us a minute. I'm actually waiting for Dr. Yasapa to come back in.
Mic check. Can you hear me now, Linda? Mic check. Mic check.
Okay, yes, I can hear you.
Wow.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. That was toxic. Let me try to open up our document now. Okay.
Okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm opening it now. I hope people didn't leave. Sorry about the that was out of my control. But I'm glad you stayed. If those of you who stayed, I'm glad you stayed. And I'm looking forward to the next part that we're going to show. All right. I think I got the file up now. Let me, I'm getting more comfortable with the software. The software is a little bit toxic though.
Okay.
But I'm getting more used to it, you know? So
The software, okay. Yeah, I noticed you're navigating through it a lot better, a lot more smoothly.
yeah, thank you. Trying to make it do what it do, you know? So we're on page 99. Can't believe we're on page 99. You know, the first time I read through this book, it was such a difficult read. But the more I do it, the more easy it becomes. You know, how you have to learn some writer's writing style. You have to learn it, you know. Is the screen share showing now? Linda? Linda, can you hear me? Mic check. Mic check. Can you hear me, Linda? All right. Mic check. Can you hear me, Linda? All right. So let's see what happened to I'm in on two. Okay, Linda, come back in, okay?
Hello? Hello? Uh-oh. Okay, looks like I'm back in, but I'm by myself. All right, let me try to reach Dr. Yasapa. Let's see. Sorry, guys. I actually got kicked out. I had to reboot my tablet. I'm gonna call him now. No, 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 no.
Mic check, mic check. Can you hear me, Linda?
There you
Mic
are.
check.
Yes. Sorry, I got kicked out. I had to reboot myself, my whole tablet.
Ah, okay. Wow.
All right. I should be good now, though. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I hear you fine. Let's
Okay. Let's do it.
yeah. We make it do what it do.
That's right. We can't be stopped.
That's right. We are unstoppable.
Mm-hmm.
So here we are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can you read or do you want me to read?
Let me try reading it. It looks like it's stable now. As you will find, as you will find, the original meaning of the Latin word templetum had no reference to any religious edifice on earth, but significant. Wait, can you move your cursor? It's blocking that word. Okay, but signified a portion of the heavens, marked out by the litus or sacred. See, it's doing it again now. It's going in and out of blurriness. Come on.
Okay. I can if you like I can read it.
Okay.
All right. So let me start over, okay? All right. So here we are. As you will find, the original meaning of the Latin word templum had no reference to any religious edifice on earth. That's etymology, y'all. But signified a portion of the heavens. Y'all got that? Temple, templum. The etymology is referencing back to astronomy. Okay. As you will find, the original meaning, that means a denotative meaning. The original meaning of the Latin word templum had no reference to any religious edifice on earth, but signified a portion of the heavens, marked out by the litus or sacred crosier of the Augurs. So we have to figure out what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are the speakers? Well, he's telling us who are the speakers in our text, pointing to the constellation of the Lamb of March and saying, quote, the temple of the capital Lorg, etc. The Latin word tempus, Tempus, which is time, is perfectly synonymous with templum. And from the equity of the sun, okay, the equity of the sun, I believe he's talking about 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night, right?
Okay.
That's the sun, the equity of the sun, equinox, right?
Mm-hmm.
When in that temple or at that tempus, when in that temple, when in that constellation, when in that time. What time? Probably the season, right? Okay, well, we will see.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Or at that tempus, that body of the clergy. Okay, so clergy must also be astronomical, right? Okay, that body of the clergy who devoted themselves more especially to the study of law and equity. So now, these are the clergy who were devoted to law and equity, y'all. What law? Natural law and equity, which is the what did he call it? The capital LORD of righteousness, the balanced scales. The balanced scale. Okay, so the clergy. So these are men who devoted themselves especially to the study of law and equity. Now, remember, Linda, the times where I have said we need to become masters of law?
Yes.
Right? That requires study. Equity is justice, right?
Okay.
That's natural law. That's common law. That's common sense. All going back to nature. Now let's continue. The body of clergy, these are going to turn out to watch this. The body of clergy who devoted themselves more especially to the study of law and equity and the administration of, quote, judgment between a man and his neighbor. There you go, the law of righteousness, right? End quote. Right. So this body of clergy who devoted themselves to the study of law and equity were called Templars. You know who the Templars are, right?
Okay, that word stuck out to me. Okay.
Yeah, I believe he's going toward the Knights Templars.
Right.
Of medieval times, who are now a secret society, who he refers to as a clergy. So yes, now we're talking about lawyers now, right? Modern times, these lawyers, secret societies.
Wow.
Knights Templars. He's telling it. That's why they started calling him a devil. Now check this out. It says, and the administration of, quote, judgment between a man and his neighbor were called Templars, and designated the colleges in which they devoted themselves to this study, the temple.
Oh, wow. Why does this make me think of like the Skull and Bones and all those other
That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it is. But see, they took it and they made it something negative. This is the Black Priesthood, the Dark Priesthood, who worship the divine master, the Black Prince. When they, yes, right, because they were in the beginning, they were good. They were good, but then they went bad, and so now they're using all of this science in a negative way. But let's continue. But these were the elite, the highly educated people, right, who formed this body of clergy, and they called the college a temple. And you know what? In our history, you know what the Moorish temples were called? Well, what the function of them were? They were places of education.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes. They call them mosque, and they have all of these religious names now. But when our people went there, it was for education. It was a college. So that's the correlation. But the Dark Priesthood turned it into a thing of worshiping an external deity and doctrines instead of the study of natural law. Okay, so let's continue. All right, the celebrated Areopagus, rather, or Hill of Mars, from which our month of March derives its name, was literally the temple of that capital God Mars. Wow. The celebrated Areopagus, or Hill of Mars, from which our month of March derives its name. Okay, Hill of Mars or Areopagus, that's where March gets his name, was literally, so now when we see literally, we are talking about the denotative meaning, right?
Okay.
Was literally the temple of the capital God Mars, the capital God of war, or the capital God of host, in which temple law and justice were administered with such strict impartiality that the GODs themselves were believed to submit to its decisions. Wow. Y'all see that? Okay. That's why we see the Egyptian scales are balanced, right? Strict adherence to impartiality in delivering justice. Wow. I like that.
Very interesting. Wow, I see the correlation there. Wow.
Yeah. The next paragraph reads, the most admired orations of Cicero, his accusations of, I can't make out what this is saying right here. So let's just say Varese. His defense of Milo, all purport to have been delivered in the temple of the deities Castor and Pollux, who presided over the administration of justice. So here they're imitating, right, what was done celestially. They're imitating it in their college, right? Their college of law. Okay. All right. It continues. And if you ever traveled as far in your life as to a place called Temple Bar, Fleet Street, London, and used your eyes when upon your travels so as to see what may be seen there, I shall not have to draw upon your credulity to persuade you that there is in that neighborhood a building or collection of buildings called the Temple, which I should call the Areopagus, or Mars Hill, and that Areopagus, or Hill of Mars. All right.
Okay, I'm not sure if your screen is working, but I can't see what you're reading.
Oh, all right. So I need to do that all over again. Wow.
There we go. Okay.
So let me do that. Let me read that again. All right. So we're going to start here, and I'll read it again where the highlight is. All right. So, and if you ever traveled as far in your life as to a place called Temple Bar, Fleet Street, London, and used your eyes when upon your travels so as to see what there may be seen there, I shall not have to draw upon your credulity to persuade you that there is in that neighborhood a building or collection of buildings called the Temple, which I shall call the Areopagus, or Mars Hill, and that Areopagus, or Hill of Mars. So we're talking about some buildings that they call the Temple.
I have heard of the Temple Bar.
Oh, really? Okay. It continues to say, or in a word, the Temple is dedicated to the Templars.
Oh.
Or students of law and equity, whose future functions and duty it shall be to execute judgment between a man and his neighbor, as impartially as the sun, S-U-N, when it enters in the Lamb of March, gives an equal length of day and night to all the earth. Wow. Wow. So just as the vernal equinox or spring equinox, the sun is giving 12 hours of sun, 12 hours of daylight. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter what you did. It's going to be the same, right? And so these Templars, these men who studied law and justice, were committed to imitating the sun, giving 12 hours of day and 12 hours of night. They would impartially give justice. That's the metaphor. Justice would be 12 hours for every man, right? 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. This is, for me, this is powerful. I really like this.
Wow.
I really like it. Because then, you can't talk about, law is everything. Right? Law is everything. All right, so let's continue. as you will see in that temple, which is not dedicated to the study of divinity. Y'all got that? This is not dedicated to the study of religion, but of law. Law is natural law, y'all. Do you see, Linda, how these professors of law and justice, they were basing it on nature?
On nature, right.
Not worshiping it, but
No.
they got the concept. They got the concept of equal justice for all, impartiality from nature. It was the Black priesthood who then started to destroy the law, using it in a bad way. In other words, like the U.S., the scales are unbalanced, right?
That's right. Makes sense.
Yeah, let's continue. As you will see that the temple, which is not dedicated to the study of divinity, but of law, bears over all, and not just law, y'all, natural law, bears over all its great gates of entrance, the figure of a lamb holding a cross in his paw. Wow. Okay, so the JC, the lamb, cross, right? Indirect indication that it is none other than the Lamb of March, which is peculiarly the temple or the tempus from which all reckoning of time began, beginning of the year, right? In which the sun, SUN, crossing the equator, that's the celestial equator, in the sign of the Lamb, is crucified. So when the sun crosses that line, it's said to be crucified. Y'all remember when the head of Aquarius, yeah, his head was said to be crucified. Therefore, John the Baptist was said to be beheaded, head cut off. Same concept.
Wow.
So let's begin. In which the sun crossing the celestial equator in the sign of the Lamb is the crucified, that is to say, the crucified Lamb, and gives such equal justice to the whole earth as the lawyers are understood to profess to do. But in which case, alas, they stick to their text no better than the persons, and for this reason, the Templars, though they had nothing to do with religion, would always support, notice this, would always support churchmen. So in other words, the lawyers and the priests are working together. Now, who makes up these so-called courts? Lawyers.
That's right.
You think the priest ain't? You think they ain't working? I'm not talking to you, Linda, but in the audience, do y'all think the priest and the lawyers ain't working together? The author here is saying they are, through their secret societies, right? Through their secret societies, right? That's where they're administrating the injustices that they call justice. All right, so let's continue. It says here, I'm going to read that again. In which the sun, SUN, crossing the equator, in the Son of the Lamb is the crucified, that is to say, the crucified Lamb, and gives such equal justice to the whole earth as the lawyers are understood to profess to do. But in which case, alas, they stick to their text no better than the persons. So, all right, these lawyers are already going bad, right? And for this reason, the Templars, though they had nothing to do with religion, would always support the churchmen, because the game between them was never any other than rogues all. And honesty would cry, this is funny, and honesty would cry, a plague on both our houses. All right, so the lawyers are liars and deceivers, just like the priests, they working together. You will believe me too when I instruct you that Areopagus, that hill of Mars, the temple, is the lawyer's house, situate at the west end of the city. Okay, L. Okay, we see the the radical L, on, and don. That is L, the sun, on, the being, don, the capital L-O-R-D, or Adonis, the capital L-O-R-D, the being, the fire, L on don, losing the significance of those three Phoenician words, which show its original meaning in the shortened utterance, London. Wow. Let me highlight that.
Yeah, I was going to ask because I couldn't see where you're reading.
Okay, let me see. I'm on page 101. Oh, I'm on the wrong page, man. Oh, here it is.
Okay. Okay. Now I see it. Mm-hmm.
All right. So it's London. All right. So L on Don is shortened. That means it's a contraction. London is a contraction of L on Don. So London means capital L-O-R-D or Adonis, right? L means the sun. On means the being.
Wow.
Sometimes still more shortened in the vulgar London. So London and London are the same. On the highest spot of the ground, in which city those ancient Phoenician settlers in Britain founded a magnificent cathedral to honor their power, okay, El on Don, from whom our city to this day retains the name of London. Wow, I didn't know that. The Phoenicians named that. So London is the name of a deity.
Is the name of a Phoenician. Wow, really?
Yep.
Interesting.
That the capital God, London, to whose honor this great edifice was erected, was none other than the sun itself, is discovered to us. So London is the sun. So we saw these radicals earlier on in the book. That the capital God, London, to whose honor this great edifice was created, was none other than the sun, S-U-N itself, is discovered to us not merely in the meaning of the three radical Phoenician particles that make up the Latin London. Let me go to the back up to the top. So here we are, that make up the word London. All right, that make up the word London, but in the structure and ornaments of the edifice itself, which, how often soever repaired or rebuilt, hath never varied, in one single stone or pillar or statue, of which it is constructed, from the hieroglyphs and emblems by which it may be known and read to all men as the cathedral or church of the sun.
Wow.
Yep. He continues, as on its western pediment you shall see, to this day are the emblematical figures of spring, summer, autumn, and winter, ridiculously, though very craftily, called Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Wow.
No way. Are you serious? Okay, explain that one.
I don't know how to explain it. We need to get a picture of it.
Yeah, we do. That would help to get to see a visual of this.
We need to get a picture. As on, it's talking about on that church, right? The Church of the Sun. As on its western pediment, I guess that's the western wall, I guess, right? You shall see to this day, he's talking about in the 1800s, are the emblematic figures of spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Okay, so they have these images that represent spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Ridiculously, though very carefully called Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Wow. And the funny thing is that they tell in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they tell a different story, right? Or in Christianity, they say they tell their story
Or
of the
their
Christ.
version of the
Yeah.
same.
Yeah, right. So in other words, these are the constellations. And remember, each constellation has its own characteristics and attributes. So when the sun enters into Matthew, it's going to have the characteristics and attributes of Matthew. And Mark, the same, Luke and John each time. Wow.
I see the correlation. Wow. It's very interesting.
Yeah. So now let's see what he has to say in the next paragraph here. He says here, and in the tympanum of that pediment is an alto relief or hieroglyphical representation, than which no written or engraven letters or words could more plainly, nay, could anything like so plainly have said. This edifice is dedicated in honor of the sun.
Oh my goodness.
That's what they put in the church. So we don't need to guess about it. They write it there. They write it. So we don't need to try to figure it out. Y'all see it? In this paragraph.
Same language to all men.
Wait. Hold on. Sorry, Linda. Here it is. There it is. See, this edifice is dedicated in honor of the sun. It's Christianity.
Yep.
Wow. Let me see. How many? We've been going an hour and 15 minutes. Or do we need to stop?
Let's see. I think we could read a little bit more, given that we had a little technical difficulty, just to get a little bit more information out.
Okay, so here we are. Next paragraph. Words may change or vary their significance, but pictures speak the same language to all men and cannot be misunderstood except where faith forbids the exercise of understanding. The man is correct, right?
Yes, he is.
Denotative to connotative meanings, but pictures, you know what they mean. All right. So let's see, next paragraph. For there, sirs, the sun in his place in the heavens is not more apparent than is at that representation of the triumph of the sun, S-U-N, when he enters the constellation of Castor and Pollux. So these were the justice guys, right? The twins of May. So I guess the twins would be Gemini. With his with his bright beams of light and glory striking his adversary Sol, the gloomy centaur of November, from off his horse and seeming to insult his sprawling antagonist in those words, and here's the Greek words, which in their interpreted sense is November, November, why shouldest thou come after May? I don't understand that. But anyway, I guess this is Saul. So the adversary must mean, because it's saying adversary, I'm thinking if you draw a straight line between the Gemini to whatever sign is directly opposite of it, that sign would be at the opposite end of that line, right?
Okay.
So for example, let's say, if you look at 1230, so you have one hand pointing at 12, one hand pointing at the 6, right?
Okay.
Straight line. So 12 is at the exact opposite end of that line as 6, right?
Okay, so, and whatever zodiac would be at that position would be the adversary.
That's correct. Because they're at opposite ends. So that's what I think that's what he's referring to, because that concept is there. For 12 o'clock would be when the sun is at the zenith. I think it's June 21st. That would be the Christ, right? JC, because the sun is at the highest point in the sky. But then at 6 o'clock, the sun is the furthest away from the earth. So it's at its lowest point, right? So that means that the number of hours of darkness are greater. at his, at December 24th. Well, actually December 21st through the 24th. So
Okay.
at 6 o'clock, that's the devil, Satan, the devil.
Mm-hmm.
But at the
Okay, I
exact,
see. Mm-hmm. I see
yeah,
the correlation.
yeah. So Satan, the devil, and JC are the same. It just depends on it, whether you're in the summer solstice or the winter solstice, right? The sun is because it's just the sun, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So let's continue. So I don't understand this, and I'm not going to attempt to try to explain it, but that's the best from what I can see. This is what's happening, but don't take my word for it. We have to check it out.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So next paragraph. For sure, it is madness only that could dream of any literal sense in the conceit of a man on the earth, persecuting a man in the sky, nay, a capital God in heaven, so devilishly uncomfortable in those mansions of happiness as to come downstairs to tell us that somebody kicked him and it was very hard. So sometimes the author it's like he's mocking, right?
He is the sarcasm. It gets me.
Yeah.
He's right. Think about it, because if we're paying attention to the story that's being told through the celestial movement, head is being, what one is getting his head cut off, and it seems exactly what he said there in his heavenly realm. There, he's coming down to complain to us and tell them that he's being bullied.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Wow.
So in March, if we draw that straight line, draw the straight line, it would go to September.
Mm-hmm.
If you draw a straight line, it would go to October, May to November, June to December. So this would be 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, right? Satan, right. The Christ figure here, and then Satan, the devil here. Okay. And then it goes the same for each one, right? All right. So in other words, these down here are adversaries. Adversaries of these up here. Right. So these are those cold winter months. Things are getting cold, right? Then cold. And March is when spring is coming. Spring is coming. Now summer. Now fall is coming.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So let's. Okay.
Very
so
interesting.
We're on page 102 now. Wow. It reads, our religious fanatics are always preaching up the controversy, the conversion of St. Paul, but so much go they before their horse to market this, that not a word is there about the conversion of St. Paul in any part of the scriptures. From the beginning to the end, there is not an allusion to such a thing. The Acts of the Apostles containing nothing of the kind. Good, capital God. May you exclaim, do I mean to say the Christians cannot read? Yes, that is what I do mean to say. To all intents and virtues of reading, a Christian cannot read. It is faith doeth put out the eyes of reason, and he sees not the text of the book itself, but the vain phantom of his own foregone conceit. For he would see that it was not Paul that was converted, but Saul. All right, next paragraph. And Saul is the name of that king of Israel who persecuted David and his brother Jonathan, who are the Gemini or twins of May. Okay, so I guess this is saying David and Jonathan are the twins. Is that right? So, okay, yeah, okay. So the twins of May in the old allegory, as it is the name of the persecutor of the son of David, who is the caster and pullocks of the new. Okay, that's a New Testament.
Mm-hmm.
But Saul, we shall be told, is the same person who is afterward called Paul, as St. Luke says, Saul, which is also called Paul. Yes, he is so, but by precisely the same alliteration as soul, spelled S-O, which is called Paul, spelled P-O-L-L, and Saul, spelled S-A-U-L, and Paul, spelled P-A-U-L, are one and the same person, only in the same sense as the sun, S-U-N, of November, is the same as the sun of May. All right. Okay, so I guess that they're at, let's go back to that page. So we're looking at November and May, right? He's saying that they're adversaries, opposite ends of the line. So November and May, where's November? Oh, yeah, you see it?
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's saying, right?
Okay.
That's what he's saying. Now let me find my place. Okay, so we were here.
Mm-hmm.
So the sun of November is the same sun of May, only in different characters. Saul, before his conversion, being the November, S-U-N, in the sign of Sagittarius, where you see the great persecutor. All right, so Saul did persecute the Christians, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sagittarius is a great persecutor. All right, so the sun in Sagittarius, with his bow and arrow, playing havoc with vegetable nature, stripping the trees of their foliage. Okay, so Saul, Sagittarius, they're stripping the trees of their foliage. So this is fall, right?
Okay.
When things start to die in the fall. Okay, playing havoc with vegetation. The leaves of the trees turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stripping the trees of their foliage, riding down to Damascus and on the high road to hell and Tommy, that is to St. Thomas Day, which is the 21st of December, the lowest point of the sun's declination and consequently the lowest pit of hell.
Interesting.
Very interesting, right? The name Saul being in Hebrew, the self same word, and here we see the Hebrew word, which is wherever it serves the purpose, translated hell. So that's Sheol. As the Greek name Paul is an abbreviation of the Greek Apollo, under whose protection the month of May is placed in the calendar of Julius Caesar. That's interesting. And of the name of the star Pollux, in which the sun, S-U-N, appears in his regenerate and mild and amiable character at that delightful season. Whew. All right. Let me check to see what this paragraph is about. So let's read this paragraph and let's stop here, okay?
Okay.
Are you okay?
No, I'm processing because I'm noticing he's comparing Saul and Paul here. I'm processing that.
Yeah, it's the same. So Saul in May, remember, he's persecuting. But then in November, he's Saul. He's doing that, if I'm understanding correctly, before Paul was converted, he was killing people, or at least trying to, right?
Yeah, he was supposedly persecuting the Christians.
Right, that's Sagittarius. So when autumn comes, the leaves on the trees begin to die. All the vegetation begins to die. Paul went killing people, right? And then in November, how did he write it? Hold on, let me go back to see how he wrote this.
I guess I'm just trying to understand, how is he relating this to Saul, though?
How was it?
Because I know Saul persecuted who was it? David?
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're right. He's talking about Saul, the king. Oh, he's talking about King Saul.
Yeah, I
Wait,
don't, it's not, that
no, he's
part is
talking about
not.
both. He's talking about both. If you look at
Mm-hmm.
yeah, look at the top of the page. Unless I'm confused, maybe you're right. But I see here Saint Paul.
Right.
Our religious fanatics are always preaching up the covenant of Saint Paul. Let's read it again. But but so
Yeah,
much
because the
so
next
that
paragraph, he says, "In Saul is the name of the king of Israel who persecuted David."
and his brother Jonathan, who are the Gemini or twins of May in the old allegory, as it is the name of the persecutor of the son of David. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's Saul, King Saul, who
Right.
is the caster and Pollux of the new. But Saul, we shall be told, is the same person who is afterward called Paul.
You see where my problem is? Right
Right.
there.
As Saint, okay, so he's talking about King Saul in the Old Testament and Paul in the New Testament. The
He's
same.
trying to compare, he's saying they're the same, but I don't
He's
I don't agree.
okay. Oh, so tell why you don't agree.
Yeah, I disagree because I know the story of Saul. Like I get it. Saul, Saul messed up at the end, but originally, he was serving the Most High.
Well,
And yes, he disobeyed, but
Can you read this paragraph?
let me see. And let me see. And Saul is the name of that king of Israel who persecuted David and his brother Jonathan, who are the Gemini or twins of May. Yes, I get that, but in other words, here's what I'm trying to say. The story of Saul and Paul to me are two different stories. I'm trying to
Okay.
understand how he's combining them.
Okay, so can you tell, like, be more, if you want, so people who are thinking the same way as you, or people who don't, maybe they don't know those stories so well.
Okay, because I know the story of Paul. Of course, he was persecuting the Christians. He hated them. He was killing them and all that. Saul wasn't doing that.
Right. Saul was persecuting David and was persecuting King David, right?
But remember, Saul was king before David became king.
Right.
Saul, the reason why Saul started pursuing David was because he started to disobey the Most High. Okay, he wasn't following what the Most High was telling him to do. He knew he was in trouble, for lack of a better, expression, and he knew that the kingship was going to go to David. So there was a jealousy there. He didn't want that. But originally, he was working with the Most High. He wasn't persecuting the people of the Most High. He started persecuting David after the fact. It's two completely different stories.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So very good. Very good. So do you want to read the next paragraph so we can try
Um,
to figure this out?
yes, where where are we?
Right here.
Okay. Um, but Saul, we shall be told, is the same person who is afterward called Paul. So okay, so here's what I'm trying to understand here. Because I don't remember the New Testament story of Paul as far as his name, because I know they would have one name and then the name would change once the
Mm-hmm.
Most High, or would get involved. Was
Mm-hmm.
Paul's original name Saul?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, okay. So, but that still doesn't connect to King Saul of Israel in
Okay.
ancient
So
times.
yeah. So you disagree. Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
I
continue. Let's
disagree.
continue reading the paragraph.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, but Saul, we shall be told, is the same person who is afterward called Paul, as Saint Paul says. Hold
That's
on.
Saint Luke. Saint Luke.
Okay, it went blurry on me. I'm sorry. As Saint Luke says, Saul, which is also called Paul. Hold on, it's blurry again. Let me let it clear up. Okay, here it is. He is so, but by precisely the same. I can't see it.
All alliteration as S-O-L, soul rather.
Mm-hmm. Okay, here it is. Which is also called Pul. And Saul and Paul are one and the same persons, only in the same sense as the son of November is the same as the son of May, only in different characters. Saul before his conversation being conversion, sorry. Saul before his conversion being the November sun in the sign of Sagittarius, where you see the great come on.
Persecutor.
Okay. There it is. Okay. Persecutor, which his bow and arrow playing havoc with vegetable nature, stripping the trees of their foliage, riding down to Damascus, and on the high road to hell, and Tommy, that is St. Thomas's Day, which is the 21st of December, the lowest point of the sun's, I can't say that word.
Declination.
The sun's okay, there it is. The sun's declination, and consequently the lowest pit of hell. Okay, so this paragraph here, if we're just focusing on the story of Paul, I see the correlation. It makes sense.
Okay, but disagreeing is up to you, right? If you disagree, that's fine, right? Because that's that's part of what we do. Think, right? Come to our own conclusions.
Right,
Yeah.
because okay, think about it. Wasn't Saul the same one? Wait, was it Saul? It had to be Saul. Wasn't Saul the same one that went and sought out the gosh, that was she a witch or something to raise up what's his name to get one final word from the Most High because he was desperate?
Yep.
What does that story have to do with Paul?
Yeah, I don't think he's talking about that though. But that's my point of view.
All right. Okay.
That's my point. But that's not to say I'm right. That's not to say I'm right.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying to you?
Yeah, because
I'm not saying I'm right.
I almost feel like, okay, let me tell you this, right? It almost feels a little bit like he's trying to bring this. Okay, we get it. The New Testament, we're seeing the connection to astrology and whatnot. It's almost like he's also trying to bring that a little bit over to the Old Testament, and that's where that's where I'm saying no.
Well, yeah, he is doing that. I agree with you 100%. He is trying to do that.
Okay.
But you gotta remember Jeremiah 8:8.
Right. Okay, that's where I have a problem. So that's why I was quiet. I was processing this.
Okay. Okay, good. Well, do you want to finish? Let me see. Is that last? No, we can go without reading that paragraph. So let's skip to the next page.
Okay.
Here. So let's start there. Do you want to read or you want me to?
I can try. Just bear with me because it keeps coming in and out with the blurriness.
Okay.
Just if it goes blurry and I can't see a word, just call it out to me and then I'll catch up to it. Okay. The wagery of pretending that what were really pagan move your cursor.
Okay.
What is that word? Edifices?
Yes.
Okay. Were Christian edifices and of changing the names of the pagan deities into Christian saints. Even with the drawlist puns upon the names, where were no such pagan deities or Christian saints either had ever existed, prevailed universally throughout Christendom. We have not only our great,
I think it's AIDS.
Edith Polucus or Policus, I can't say that word, or Church of Polacks. Oh, they have a whole Church of Polacks. Interesting. Turned into St. Paul's Church. That is Paul in Paul. Paul into Paul. But if you shall ever visit Rome, you shall find the temple of Apollo that was now called the temple of Apollinarius, the temple of Mars, turned into the temple of Martina and actually bearing the inscription. Okay. I can't read it. It's blurry.
Oh, really? It says, quote, Martyri, Gestans, Virgo, Martina, Coronam, Ejecto, Hein, Martis, Numine, Templa, Tenet, quote. That is, in English, Mars hence expelled Martina, the martyred maid, claims now the worship which to him was paid. So is this saying that these buildings were dedicated to pagan deities, and then the Christians gave them Christian names and made them saints? Is that right? Am I reading
That's
that
what
right?
that sounds like to me, right?
Wow, okay. And if Protestants were but as honest in acknowledging the real origin and derivation of their churches as the Roman Catholics, we should see a similar inscription on the biggest church in this metropolis. Quote, the church you see beneath this golden ball was built at first for Pool, P-O-L-L, but now for Paul, end quote. Wow. The conversion which it commemorates is not a moral, but a physical one. As you see Saul, the man and horse of November, in the tympanum, sprawling on the ground, while Pol, P-O-L, to whose honor the church is dedicated, and who has struck Saul to the ground, himself stands upright on the pediment with his drawn sword in his hand, the point downward. Okay.
Yeah, I can't see.
Oh, okay, so let me go to the next page. The point downward,
Mm-hmm.
as having just done its work in the attitude of a glorious conqueror. And this conversion, you will observe, takes place expressly at midday, that is, when the sun of Gemini is exactly at the meridian, 12 o'clock of the 9th of June in the calendar of Julius Caesar.
Interesting.
All right, yeah. Ooh, I'm tired.
Yeah. Me too. Very interesting how they turned these temples um into like Christian worshiping centers when originally they were built for pagan deities. But from my understanding, around that time, around the time of Julius Caesar, this was the practice. This is when everything was being converted to Christianity, and there was a merger going on. So you would have, for example, a church that's built on top of an old temple that was dedicated to a deity, and you'll have the church members in, up top in the building, and then you would have the priests that were still worshiping those deities underneath the church in the underground temple.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Do you want to finish this page or stop?
Yeah, I think we can definitely call it. We've been going for, let's see here, about 2 hours, I think.
You wanna do it again tomorrow? Are you available? I think.
Yeah, I am. I'm available tomorrow.
Okay, excellent. I'm gonna send you the link. Okay.
Okay.
I think tomorrow is Friday.
Yes, it is.
So we'll do it at 9 p.m. Is that okay with you? 9
9
p.m.
p.m.
Eastern
is
Standard
better.
Time.
Yeah. If you want to go a little earlier too, that's fine.
I can't tomorrow. I can't. It has to be 9 p.m. tomorrow.
9 p.m. Okay, that's cool. That's fine.
Okay. So scholars in the audience, we'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So let me go ahead and shut this off. We appreciate you coming in, spending your time with us. And Linda, you want to say anything before we go?
Yep, definitely. We definitely appreciate you guys spending time with us. Join us again tomorrow. Feel free to get into the comment section and, share your thoughts and your questions with us.
Oh, you know what? Let me check the comments right now.
Oh, no, there's nothing there. We didn't have.
No, I'm looking at some. So Gary James says late on arrival, but here, Shalawama family. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. I I didn't see your comments. Tomorrow, I'll make sure I get them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't have my YouTube up correctly. You're right. There's a few things on here. Okay.
Yeah, but it's okay. I'm sure they're not upset. Okay, so Gary James says late on arrival, but here, Shalawama family. Appalachian Joel says Islam, Islam, and greetings to all. Appalachian Joel says, what a cover up. Yes, indeed. Everything about this is a lie, you know, it's one lie on top of another. Appalachian Joel says, set. Digital Pit Boss says, this is an interesting take on the Bible. Yes, indeed it is. Nate Bad Y'all says, Paul was killing the seed of David. All right, yeah. Gary James says, Saul of Tarsus is Paul the Apostle. That is correct. King Saul was of the tribe of Benjamin. In fact, you know what? Let me do right by the commenters. I need to put these. I need to fit. Okay, so let me show the comments.
Ah, there we go. Nice.
Right. So we appreciate all of your comments. These comments help people who watch the video to learn, right? Because I don't know everything. I can't speak for Linda, but
yeah, absolutely.
so when y'all add to the lesson like this, you know, you're going to reach somebody, or you're going to share something that one of us do not know, right? And that's going to help somebody. So we all have to return. I'm not trying to preach, but you know, I just want you all to continue to share your knowledge, your experience, so that the people can benefit from it, because we return to the Most High as a nation, right? We can return individually, but we don't get the full blessings until we return as a nation, you know. So, and most of our people, they, well, y'all know the deal with most of our people as it stands. So I'm going to go ahead and show this last comment. We appreciate it very much. Feel free to call in. If y'all want to call in, just put it in the chat today. And when I see it tomorrow, I make sure I give y'all a phone number so y'all can call in and speak if you would like to. So thanks again for joining us. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Y'all be sure to subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. I'm inviting everybody to come to our live online class every Saturday. Every Saturday. It's scrolling across the screen. The links are in the chat. Y'all come and you can learn. Come stay two classes. You stay, you learn for free, not going to cost you a thing, right? And you're going to see some, if y'all think this is something, you're going to see some really powerful stuff Saturdays, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You got anything, Linda, that you want to say?
Yep, just tomorrow we'll be back on at 9 p.m. You know, join us and, you know, bring your comments and your questions, and let's make this thing interesting.
Excellent, excellent. 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, y'all. See y'all then. Shalawama.
Shalawama.
Okay. So Nate Bad Y'all says subscribe. All praises, Nate. Thank you very much for the support. Really, really appreciate it. Hope to see you Saturday, 9 a.m. too. Appreciate your support. Nate is a good man. Nate is a good man. Okay, y'all. Shalawama.
Shalawama.